All right, guys, welcome to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about headshots. And if you're kind of a company of one solo creator like I am, why you might want to start offering headshots as a service, because it is a pretty good source of income, a good source of revenue. It can fill some gaps in seasons. And most of your clients are going to need them anyway. So it's a good upsell. There's just a lot of benefits to them. So we're going to go through some of the headshots that I did this morning, some I've done for other companies, and kind of my approach on the whole headshot situation. And I hope this helps. Do me a favor real quick, like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you want to go deeper on some of this stuff, make sure you go through our videos that we've posted before. But without further ado, let's talk about doing headshots, okay? So here are some examples I'm going to first show you of some of the headshots that I have done. These are for a bank. We're going to go some more. As you can see, these are in the same environment. Pretty good corporate style headshots. Go to this one. This is a different bank, but you can see kind of the same style. And then even something like, senior portraits. Even though there's, staged studio senior portraits, they're still headshots, right? And I think these turned out pretty good. But today I'm going to kind of tell you how I go about setting these up. And then we're actually going to edit some of the ones that we did this morning so you can get an idea of how I edit and deliver those. But let's go ahead and look at the actual setup. So when I go to, say, a bank branch, right? This is in more of their back of house area. So this isn't where all the tellers and stuff are. So just coordinating with the marketing director or whoever's hiring you for the headshots to find a place in the bank or in the office or wherever. And it can be after hours. I have done some after hour headshots for some companies. But for the bank, for just example purposes, right? The bank, they sometimes will get at work at 8 and they don't open the doors till 9. So it's pretty easy to coordinate at least getting 4 or 5 of the people done before the bank's actually open. So that's what we did here. And like I said, this is kind of like back of house, if you will. This isn't where the tellers are. This is like where their back offices are. And it's a nice long hallway. That's one thing that's going to amplify your photography. Of course, like if you have a nice camera body, we use the Canon R6 for these, and the Sigma 50mm 1.4, which gives you like that nice depth of field or that nice bokeh in the background. But even if you don't have something like a sorry, I got a fly on my mic. If you don't have a 1.4 lens or a 1.8, or if all you have is a 4 to 5.6, get as much separation as you can between your subject and your background. Another example, this guy, there's not as much separation. There's probably 15 feet before you hit that wall. But because my lens is so fast, I'm able to get that nice bokeh effect on these photographs. But then these, there's probably 100 feet down that hallway until the next hallway starts. You can see somebody's in the shot there. It's kind of funny. Hers turned out really good, though, I think. The only thing I don't like are these fluorescent lights, but there's really nothing we could necessarily do about it. Now, we do several different angles, and with this downward angle, like here's a good shot, the fluorescents are gone. But, coordinate with whoever has hired you to make sure you have the spot figured out. And what I actually like to do is, now that we have this spot, like I go to their branch, periodically and do more headshots for new hires. I know where I want to set up, but you can go the day before. I went the day before to this one to kind of scope out where I thought I was going to set up. Now, I didn't bring my equipment in and do test shots or anything, but I had a good idea of where I wanted to be. And I like this little lobby area with the painting in the back. It looks very presidential. So, that's just something to think about as you start to book these things. And the way I like to do it is I like to do 3 poses for each person. And I guess we can go through that real quick. Here's a little AI version of, her name is Allie. We did some for Allie today. We're going to look at those again. So I do a straight on pose. And then I like to do one where their body is turned towards the light. And I'm about to show you the setup for that. Of course, I don't have hers in here. Let's go to this one. So you can see her body is turned away from the light, like you can see the light's coming in from the right, and her body is facing away from the light. But then I also like to do some where she is facing the light. Of course, I don't have hers in here either. That's okay. I'm going to show you guys the setup because that's going to make more sense here. So you've got your subject, right, facing right towards the camera, your key light about, if this is 90 degrees, this is about 45 degrees. 45, 45 is like my rule. So 45 degrees off center of the light, and then the light a little bit higher than, their height, and then 45 degrees down. And that's where you're going to get that nice triangular shadow on their face. And if you can set it up, a hair light is good. I'll go look at some behind the scenes right here of when we did those headshots. You can see I have a little scrim because these lights that were up here were casting sort of a glare, and we couldn't really turn them off. We needed the light, the ambient light inside of the room. So what we ended up doing was putting this little scrim on a C-stand and then hoisting it up right above that light, and that made it to where it was also our hair light, but it was nice and soft. It didn't have that glare, and especially on his face, it was creating like a really bad glare, but we used it for all of that. So if you can set up a hair light of some sort, something to just separate them from the background, it does help. It's not always necessary. Like the ones we did today, we did not have the luxury of the hair light, but there just happened to be a chandelier a couple feet behind them and above them that was creating that little touch of a rim. And so I didn't see the need to set up another hair light. And another big benefit working with me, and my clients have told me this, is that I'm very quick, I'm very easy, and the results to them are immaculate. Like they don't have to come to a studio, they don't have to carve out an entire day, and these are the results they get, and they're very usable on social media, or they actually print some of these and put them in the hallways of the bank. So that's the other thing, is I like to be quick and easy. I don't really want to take up too much of people's times because that is kind of the draw. Like, if Forrest is coming, he's going to be easy and in and out before the doors even open. So that's just part of my shtick. If that doesn't align with you and your business, that is totally fine. That's just kind of one of the things my clients likes about working with me. So we'll look at the setup one more time. So you got your camera straight on, and you can kind of see that there. And then for this one, the light is to the right, or her left, my right. In this diagram, it doesn't really matter. I've got the light on the other side. Now, something that's important to note is a lot of your headshots are going to be females. So I bring a female with me. And the lady who helps me out, she's really in charge of aesthetics. So she's always watching for little hairs fall in. She's looking for wrinkles. She's looking for little stains. She's making detailed notes about, things we might need to edit out. Little notes like that way I don't forget. And I'm very grateful for her being there because, these ladies, they take a lot of time getting ready for these things. And I want to make sure that not only do they look their best, but they're happy with the way they look. And I think it does put them at ease knowing that she's there to just, with the lint roller and the brush and the powder, just to make sure that they look their best. And it gives them a little reassurance, and it gives me a little grace because, I can focus on the actual technical aspect of photographing these awesome people. And she focuses on, what I'm not really looking at when I'm trying to adjust my aperture and adjust my, white balance and just get everything right in camera. She's looking at the real world stuff, not through the camera, because the camera can also, you can see it and go, wow, this looks great, but you didn't see like the shadow in the eye or something like that. So anyways, why don't we edit some photos? So I've already got the ones up from today. We're going to open up Lightroom. Okay, we're just going to bring those in. Now for editing, I do use Lightroom. You don't necessarily have to do that. We shoot all our photos in RAW just to have the most dynamic range, the most colors, and the most flexibility later on. If for some reason something happened or I overexposed, I can bring those back. So here's Allie again. You've already met her. We just happened to do hers twice, or some of hers twice. These, as you can see, you can jump in here. Sometimes I like to jump in. They're still loading in, so I can't tell if they're in focus, but yeah, everything's in focus. I like to use in the Canon bodies face plus eye tracking because I am shooting at such a shallow depth of field. It's really important to make sure those eyes are in focus. In fact, you can see, look, this area of her is out of focus. This is in focus, which is totally fine for these more stylistic headshots. If you need like the whole person in focus, and I have done some of those for a shipping company actually, where they didn't really want that style. They wanted like these almost old school crisp photographs. I bumped my shutter speed up to, not my shutter speed, sorry, my aperture up to like 5 or 8. And then, we'll increase my lighting, make my shutter speed a little slower. It's all up to you guys, but this is just how I go about it. So let's edit some photos, right? We're going to find a batch, if you will. I really like this shirt she wore, and she was joking because she was like, it's a little out there. I'm not sure how the branch manager is going to feel about it, but, even if it's just for her LinkedIn, this will be good. I really like this one, actually. I don't use any presets when I'm editing. I used to a little bit, but I found that I just like it better whenever I'm doing it all from scratch, especially for these corporate styles. Like I don't need a certain look or anything, but I'm going to come find this pure white and go ahead and select it from my white balance. Okay. Now we can deselect that and jump back out. So that made it super blue, but her shirt, that part of the white is exactly where you want it. And I'm just going to adjust this to about 47, 48, which is right where I had my white balance and the Kelvin value on my light. So that's looking pretty good. Definitely needs some contrast. Definitely needs to adjust some of the skin tone colors. And if you start to learn and use your histograms and things like that, that's going to make your life a lot easier. Exposure-wise, this thing is pretty darn good. But let's go ahead and add a little bit of contrast. I do like them to be a little contrasty. Some of the shadows might be a little too dark, like especially under her eyes. So if I come in here and I start lifting those shadows a little bit. And a trick is you can lift the overall exposure and then drop your shadows and highlights accordingly. And again, I really try to focus on the face first. Okay, that looks pretty good. I like that. I don't know if her skin tone's quite where it needs to be. So let's go on down here to color mixer, and you can pick orange, okay? Because that's what your skin tone is. Check it. Boom, gone there. So I'm not leaving her skin like this. I don't want her to be a Oompa Loompa. But I do that sometimes to give myself a lot of visual credence to actually find that orange. Because look, if I go with the hue, if I go left, that's going to be pink. If I go right, that's going to be green. So we don't want her pink. We don't want her green. But I'm just trying to find really that perfect orange. Now I can drop that back to 0. And that should make her skin tone pretty good. I do think her skin needs a little, just a touch of saturation, like 10 at the most. Okay, I think this is looking pretty good. And they look different than the other branch. So I kind of like that too. The other thing I might do is go in here, do the same thing all the way up on my saturation. So you would think her shirt's green. There's really not a lot of green in there. It's going to be mostly yellow. Isn't that weird? So I'll go into this yellow and I'll kind of push it towards the green, drop that back down, maybe bump it up to 10 as well. And this is looking pretty good. Let's go see what happens. And a lot of this is going to be trial and error, experimentation, your style. I'm going to come in here and just drop the highlights. Okay, you can see what happens when I drop the highlights. A lot of the detail comes back in the background and in the shirt, which seems like it would be good. But the thing is it's also going to drop it out of the skin tone and the face. So if I do that again, you can see what it did there. It's not terrible, but I do want the face to have a little bit of brightness to it, a little bit of light. And I'm willing to sacrifice what's going on in the background for that. So just playing with it. The face does get a little brighter when I do that. It might be okay just where it was at 0. Don't necessarily need to do anything there. Now, the last thing I'll do, and I don't like to overdo this part, but you see with the just natural, we all have lines and things in our faces. Honestly, that looks good to me. Like, that's good to go. But what we can do, and also, you see that blue couch in the back? You could always, let's say that couch is a distraction, could dampen that down, or if you want to bring it up. I actually don't mind bringing it up a little bit just to get some of the blue out of that painting too. Just to add a little something. That's looking pretty good to me. What I'll do here Now we're going to work on kind of like just the structure of the skin. Now you don't want to overdo this. You see a lot of this. Okay, what's that all about? That's some kind of weird Instagram filter. I do not want to change your face, so I will pull down the texture by about 5. And then clarity. Clarity I normally don't touch. It's texture that I'll touch. And maybe 7, -7. And that just adds just a little bit of smoothness. And again, if you're not zoomed in, you're not going to see any wrinkles and things on her face. But honestly, even at -24, it doesn't look too bad, but I just don't want to overdo it. So let's go -10 on the structure and turn that on and off. And you can see, let's go back, turn it on and off, holding. I mean, it's just ever so slightly. But overall, I think this is good. I'm happy with this. Now, the cool thing is, because we had her doing all kind of poses and we did a couple of different angles, I can go through and I can copy and paste, for the most part, all of her settings onto her photos. And I got to do some straightening because, you know, I'm not perfect when I'm holding the camera. Sometimes I need to straighten it just a little bit. Yep, that looks good. And we're just going to go through. Hers are pretty green looking. So I actually might come back here. The more I look at it, the more green it looks to me. There we go. So I'm using the tint dial, overall tint, to just move it towards the pink just a little bit, not too much. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now, did that mess up my skin tone? We can go check on that real quick. Let's see. That's too pink. That's too green. It's right there in the middle. Oh, I think that looks pretty good. Now we're going to go copy and paste all of those. And we're going to come back to the original. Like, I'm just going to keep adjusting this until I just feel good about it. Maybe the contrast needs to be just a little more. We're going to go to 30 on the contrast. Okay, cool. I feel pretty good about these. And honestly, like, because I've done a lot for this bank, it is nice to have some things that look a little different. Like, not everything's got to be exactly the same and clinical, you know, and they're going to appreciate the variation because they've told me that before. If you do need it clinical and exactly the same every single time, like, you're going to have to just adapt these processes to your own needs, right? Like, I think these look great though. That's probably my favorite. That one's really good. And I also like to get a little bit of a variation of like full body, because they actually use these for so many purposes. They use a lot of these photos for billboards. So they'll put a couple of their employees on a billboard. And so the full body is actually necessary for that. So I think we're about done with Allie with the green shirt at least. So what we're going to do, let's come back to the beginning. We did these as a funny. I was like, give me the realtor pose. And that's what these are. So we're going to go through these. Now you might be thinking, why are you editing a bunch of the same pose? And just for this use case, the person that I work with on these, the marketing director, she does like to have a lot of options, because these are just going to be archived and can be used for brochures, for LinkedIn, for social media, for billboards, like I mentioned. And so it's not necessarily like, hey, these are the ones. These are the best ones. I'm leaving that up to her. So I'm basically giving her, you notice I haven't really deleted any of them. Now, I will. When I go to edit the rest of these, when I'm not doing a tutorial, I will delete a lot of them for the next client or the next subject, if you will. But for now, for demonstration purposes, I am just going to go ahead and keep them. Keep them all. I'm going to highlight all of those. And I like to export between each person. Okay, so I'm going to export. That ended up being 32 photos for just that one outfit. Each person does 2 outfits. So that's something to keep in mind. If they want to do multiple outfits, make sure you price accordingly and time accordingly because they're going to have to go change. But if I go to headshots, I'm just going to put in, let's see, sorry. This is the Hurley branch. So we're going to go in here and go to edited. And I'll tell you why. I just do an edited folder. I'm not doing a folder for each person. But if I just export those, now what I can do, wherever you want to host your photos is totally fine. I use SmugMug for mine. So if I come over here, here's Allie, who you just met. And if I go to organize, we can go to clients, we can go to my bank, we can go to headshots, and then we'll go to Allie. Where are you at, Allie? There's Allie. You can see she's already got some from that other branch. Now we're going to go into edited, and we can take a quick peek at these. I think they look awesome. They're a different style, so keep that in mind. If you have a client that's like, very particular, hopefully they're hiring you for your style, but, just something to keep in mind. Like this is just information. Take it how you want it. Use it if you want it. Don't use it if you don't. That's totally fine. I'm just giving you my process. Okay, and as you can see, we have view on site. We're going to go look. This is what the client will see. Of course, I have downloads turned on just for her, so the marketing director, she can download these. But as you can see, all the photos are here, and you can just scroll through them. I think they look pretty good. That green shirt I like it. This is my favorite outfit, but that green shirt is definitely pulling out some of the greens in the photo, which could be good or bad. But I think these look really, really good. And of course, I will go through and edit all the photos. Then what I'll do to send it to my client, I like to make it as easy as possible. I will put everybody's name in the email with their individual photo link so that my client can always go back to that email to go quickly to whoever they need to use the photo for. And yeah, that's pretty much the process, guys. And what's cool about headshots is most of your clients are already going to need these. So it's a good upsell. It's good photography practice. You can use this for yourself or your company. And it extends to banks, doctor's offices, schools, HVAC companies. I mean, pretty much anybody who has a team of people are going to, in some way, shape, or form, use or need headshots. So it is a good way and a good service to offer to your existing clients. And if you live in a big enough area, like let's just say you live in Atlanta or you live in Nashville or somewhere where there's a large population, you could focus on this and this could be your only thing. And it's, to be honest with you, it's pretty easy, pretty cut and dry. Not the most exciting work in the world, but, as long as you like what you're doing, then, hey, more power to you. I hope this information helped. Please make sure you go like and subscribe. And I actually have my course on sale right now, which is not related to headshots, but it is related to podcasting and how it can help your business. So if you go down in the description, you'll see a link for that and a promo code to get 25% off. But without further ado, I'm not going to take any more of your time. I will see you in the next video. Peace.